All right, all right, all right. No. Hello, everybody. If anyone's out there, I need a sound check. How do I sound? And I need to find Zelius. But that's par for the course. Oh, I hope everyone's strapped in for tonight's show. It's gonna be a doozy. That's for sure. I did it again. Whatever. But seriously, if anyone's out there, I do need a sound check while I try to find Zelius. Also, for those that were around last week, you do know that we had some technical difficulties when it came to actually getting Zelius on here. For some reason, he couldn't do the Google Hangout option, and it tried to make him do the Google Meet, which the free version after the month of June went from 24 hours to 60 minutes. So if that's the case, we're gonna Zelius and I are going to try to call each other literally as the show's about to start. So this should be fun. And then the show, of course, will only it can only be an hour long, since that's the time that the time restraint or constraints, not restraints, for the show. So here's hoping that we can do everything we need to do. But until then, I feel like I should show something, you know? Something. I wish I had like some video to show everyone of the I don't know, some of the gameplay I've been playing. If you haven't noticed, I've been like playing the crap out of some games as of lately. I for those patrons out there, you have early access to the Beast Inside playthrough, and for those who are just chilling and looking for a fun little playthrough, I did also post one for a game called Luna, the Shadow Dust, which is actually a really good game. Kind of short, but you know, still solid. It does remind me I need to check to make sure that Zelius' sound is right. Yeah, that's right. Only problem about Streamlab OBS is that it randomly decides to not go with the default sound. So I have to go with a specific sound, either the headphones or the speakers. And then if I accidentally have the headphones on, but I last used the speakers, then no sound is recorded. Which, let me tell you, with a game that has an autosave feature, that is the kiss of death, because then you have to start from scratch if you're not paying attention. And lordy, I hope I pay attention. Now, let's check on Zelius. See if he is around. Also, how many how many instances of GChat can I have? Not GChat, Gmail. Yeah, the volume works. Christ almighty. Anybody out there got GChat? Actually, you know what? I don't know if I get them, but let's see. Oi. Are you near a computer? Are you near a computer? Can you do me a quick favor? Huh? Partially, from what I've been told. Can you get on, log into your Gmail account? Because I want to check something. Please. Tippy tap taparoo.
What do you want?
Okay. I want to know if you can accept this hangout. Yeah. What the shit? That boy's lying through his teeth. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Apparently. Hold on, I might need you, Eve. Just give me 1 second. Hang on a second. There he is. Holy crap. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the Zilius. Okay. Mm-hmm. Hold on. Let me actually unmute you so the whole world can hear the, all right, go. In settings. In
You see the chat and meet tab?
chat and meet tab.
Header, whatever you want to call it.
Uh-huh.
You see under chat there?
Yeah.
So what it is Google is going away from the classic Hangouts.
Right,
classic.
yeah.
So mine was toggled to Google Chat.
Well, there's your problem, sir.
So is yours still toggled to classic
Yeah.
Hangouts, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
So at some point, we're probably all going to be forced to Google Chat.
Yes. Once they sunset it. But the,
Yeah.
the Google Meets, it was 24 hours of free time, but now they've at the end of June they rolled it back to the 60-minute thing.
So for now, I guess as long as we continue to use the classic Hangouts, we're good.
Damn straight, son.
I guess the only question is when is Google going to sunset that, just like they do to every single one of their products.
And how fast will we have to punch them in the face?
Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, so.
All right, Zelius, I need you to move your camera down just a wee bit. And
hold on,
oh my
wait.
God, you look like David today.
I look like who?
David. Dave.
Sims?
No, your brother.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah, my camera is really high, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Or maybe my camera's really low. No, I'm good. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a fun show.
Where does the fun start, sir?
In the state of California. And it stays there most of the time.
That's weird.
What?
Now we're going to California?
What is weird?
Hey, we have an interloper.
No. We just have someone who's been quarantined to their house.
Yes, as our school is started today. I should know this that it started today.
Hmm.
Yes, schools are and employers are going back into quarantine modes for
Yep.
you know stuffs that happens.
Well, I know that all the vast majority of the public schools in Metro Atlanta, quarantine life sucks. I bet it does. Um, Actually, Eve, if the topic we're about to bring up in about like a minute, I'm sure you have plenty to talk. You're going to have plenty to say, so stick around because Grizzle. Yeah, I mean everyone and anyone can reply to this, but I think Eve having a law background of sorts and also working in HR, this would be very interesting. Hint, hint, weak, weak, nudge, nudge. Sorry, I have to refill my cup before I can go.
You have not refilled your cup, and you called me. What is wrong with you?
Well, I wanted to make sure that I could actually get Zelius on the call because if Zelius couldn't get on the call, then I've been basically Googling all these different like meeting apps to try to figure something out. And then my final solution is okay. If we can't solve this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Zelius right at 8 o'clock, and we're just going to roll.
So funny story. One thing we did find was so we do like a live stream of chicken hatching at school.
Sorry,
like,
Sam.
And we used to be able to do it for free. Like pre-COVID, there was tons of products. But basically what happened was is over COVID is yes, there was products that like were free, but everybody else realized like, holy shit, we also need to learn to monetize this.
Yes.
So now what we're finding is like in the world of streaming, like yes, you can find stuff, but pretty much most of the big players now, like or ones that are reliable, they're like they're not running off of free money or just hopes and promises anymore. They're actually charging, which they got to make money.
True.
So they're also a business who needs to have income of some sort. So that's one thing we're learning is these streaming services like we're using. There can be a cost associated with them now too.
Of course. Sam or Eve and anyone else that is in the audience, how does our audio sound? Because we're about to dive into this, and I just want to make sure that I sound good. Zelia sounds meh. That's good. He sounds good.
Except for my sneezing. Damn it. I'm allergic to this show, I think. It's only when I come online do I start sneezing.
Okay, seriously. Someone out there needs to make an Alter Confusion Thursday night hangout bingo sheet because I've already got 2 of them. I got a Zelia sneeze, and I've had a rose spotting. Oh, okay, fine. I got 3, and Charlie drinks some Mountain Dew. And Zelia, you're muted yourself.
And you got number 4.
Yeah, there we go. Yahtzee. Wait, that's the wrong game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start this bad boy up with hopefully no issues this time around. So without further ado,
the issue is Charlie's voice.
Oh yeah. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Alter Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
Yo, and we are here with technology that maybe actually kind of sort of possibly works.
Yes. I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific comer himself, Zelius.
It is good to see you again, virtually via the tubes.
Yes. This is a Thursday Night Hangout. This is a weekly live show where we try our best to cover the topics that are most important to you with you during the show. If you haven't yet submitted a topic, question, etc., have no fear. At any time during the show, you could drop your question, your topic, into the chat, and we will try to add it to our show. If we unfortunately run out of time, we will add it to the beginning of next show. Now, this one is going to be interesting. And that, my friends, actually, let's do a PSA first. COVID is still here. For those who believe that they can wait it out, go get your shot. For those out there who actually are, private system analysis, yes, or public service announcement, Zelius.
That makes much more sense.
Yes. Wear a mask, please. Just wear a freaking mask. Okay.
Or just go get the vaccine.
Do both. Sam, I'm very sorry that Battle and Brew was closed on Monday. It is a phenomenal place, and I am very sorry that you got to miss out on the phenomenal place. Okay, so let's get into the show. Let us start in the wonderful, the wonderful state of California, where, right, Eve says still wear a mask even if you are vaccinated, which I do. When I go everywhere. But anyways, let's start in the wonderful state of California, where news after news after news has come out about the Blizzard Activision Blizzard, I guess, mounting lawsuits.
Yes.
As some of you may know, there's been quite a few lawsuits that have been filed. Let's see here. Here's the main filer. I have it right here. The main filer is... I had it right here. The California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing has filed a suit against Activision Blizzard for 10 violations of state employment law.
10, nice.
Yes. Basically, here's the deal. Oh, another Rose sighting. Okay, so here's the deal. Basically, they're getting... they have a disparity when it comes to hiring practices. They're minorities and those that are female, transgender, binary, gay, of differing races, apparently are not getting the chance to work at the company, one. And two, if they do, there's a very high likelihood, depending on where you are in the company, that you've had racist remarks, bigoted remarks, sexual harassment, inappropriate gestures, sexual assault, just to put the cherry on top of this, why the that specific board from California is involved. There's also a remarkable disparity in pay between those that are male and those who are not male. And so you have all this going. Of course, Activision and Blizzard, and specifically Blizzard, has been getting just destroyed. All their upper people, the CEO, the CFO, I think the CTO as well, have either had allegations and sexual harassment lawsuits filed against them, or they are no longer with the company. Now, that being said, let's talk about another lawsuit that Activision Blizzard has under their plate. That, of course, is they're being sued by their investors. Why? Because during one of their big chit chats where they basically say stay the company, there was some concern about a couple of lawsuits that are popping out. They're like, oh no, they're not that big of a deal, everything's gonna be fine. And then shit just kept hitting the fan. And so what's happened is, ever since that meeting where they're like, everything is fine, we're going to go back to work as usual, the stock price has dipped 12%. And
oh no, my money.
So stockholders are going, we're suing for damages, which is their right, because they were lied to. So we have that. Oh, and the other thing that's got Blizzard in a lot of trouble, and this is, I don't know if it's common practice, but it's very likely something that quite a few companies will have, and that is there's an arbitration clause in the contract. And what that means is that if you sign your contract, you are unable to sue the company. You have to go through arbitration. So that pisses off a lot of people because that really limits what an employee can do. And also, there's like some companies have put in like a statute of limitation where if you find something out, you need to tell HR immediately so they can take care of it. But apparently, if HR sits on it for a couple of years, well, that employee could be gone. They're not going to. That's basically another big thing is the fact that you have a bunch of individuals who have filed harassment and for whatever reason, harassment lawsuit or harassment complaints to HR, and HR basically sat on them forever and a day. And so now that all this shit's starting to pop up and they're not looking all rosy, they're going, well, we can't actually pursue this anymore because they're no longer with the company.
Well, at the time, HR's job was to protect the company, and they probably saw it in the time as their best interest was to basically sweep it over into the rug.
Yes.
Because it was a whole lot easier to do that than it was to actually deal with the systemic issue that is/was present at Blizzard.
Now, the employees did have a walkout and a signed petition basically saying, y'all need to actually get your shit together. Stop talking. Stop talking about what you're going to do and actually tell us what you have done. Eve says statutes should go to date the complaint was first made aware, so they should still be able to request arbitration. Wouldn't that be nice? And also, to be honest with you, and this is probably, true with a lot of companies, is the higher up you are, the more crazy it is to actually getting actions done to that person. I mean, that's why the CEO of Blizzard, and then of course, Zelius and I found this after the show. I don't know if it's last week or the week before, but there's an infamous picture which is now being called the Cosby Room picture, where a bunch of the the picture features a room full of Caucasian men lying on a bed that has a big picture of Bill Cosby sitting right there, and everyone's kind of just like oohing and awing over it. So that's not good. That's basically idolizing Bill Cosby for what he did, and of course, that's a no-no. A big no-no. Now, one of the things that this is one thing that I do find interesting, and actually I'm okay with this, is that Blizzard is trying to push, and see, I understand why companies wouldn't do this, but I think that they should. Blizzard, they're being pushed to publish the pay scale for the employees so that they have a full understanding of what they should be making. Now, of course, once you publish that, that means that all your competitors could see that and they could try to steal talent away from you because they know, if there's like a rising star in Blizzard, they'd be like, we'll go right outside what that person's pay bracket is, and maybe we'll put something, an incentive, and we'll steal them.
Well, it's also a common way to suppress pay within your own company.
Right.
Because most companies, you're strongly encouraged not to talk about your pay. And so if Charlie and I both work for Ults Confusion and we both basically do the same job and he's making $10,000 more than me, and I don't know that, then I'm just going about my merry day. And all of a sudden the information is published. It's like, oh, wait a second. I want to make $10,000 more because we're doing the same job. Therefore, I should make the same amount of money.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, if you do work at a company, there is nothing wrong. I mean, some people will not tell you how much they're getting paid a year, but there's nothing wrong about conversing about it and making sure that you're on equal footing. If you work with a company, I'm actually just going through this right now. They've got different tiers for specific jobs. So they've got, like, let's just say IT director. And then they have an IT director tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And so tier 1 is basically 0 to at most 4 years. Then you go 4 to 9 years, and then 10 plus is the tier 3. So they give you all the pay ranges and all that stuff. But because they've now shown that, now you've got people going, well, wait a minute. I've been here for a long time, and I'm not in that bracket.
That's one advantage. Like if you work at like a lot of public school districts, they publish what you're making, and so it's you at least based on what you do, depending on your degrees, depending on your years, you know what you're going to be paid. There's
Right.
no ambiguity, or for that matter, negotiations. It's
Right.
here's your pay scale, and there's some benefits to that. Like from an employee perspective, I think as far as just being super straightforward. Um, I mean, to me, the idea of negotiating while I'm employed at a company for my salary is like, I hate that part.
Yeah.
Like, pay me what I'm worth.
Agreed. Eve says that's why it shouldn't be tied to years of experience, but job title and performance. Yes and no, because then you get boxed in with if there is not a title increase for your career path. That's why they broke it into tiers for, and then gave you years of experience, which is very vague because let's say that technically, with the way that it's written, it just says 10 years of IT director experience. Well, you might be the IT director there for 4 years, but you were with another company for 15. So technically, you have 19 years of experience.
But if done right, I would actually rather be paid on performance than years because
Right.
Years is not necessarily indicative of your skill.
But then again, when it comes down to performance, you're at the mercy of your boss, your manager, whatever, your higher up, and them basically highlighting what you've done to the further upper management.
Well, that's why it's important to have correct rubrics in place so that if done right, that your manager cannot game the system in such a way, or there's ways to deal with that, which obviously not all places have in place. That's a major thing in education. Is in education, how do you do performance based scales for pay? It's extremely any way you slice it, it's really hard to measure.
I do recall, and I will not mention the name, that there was a gentleman who was a teacher. He's no longer a teacher, as far as I know. That there was an incentive at the school to basically improve your student passing rate, overall passing rate for the year. So let's just say, I'm just going to say, the first year he was a teacher there, 70%.
Yep.
Second year, it was 78%. So there's a little bit of an increase. So he gets an incentive bonus for that. The next year, either the kids are getting it, or maybe he stumbled upon a beautiful formula, but 90% pass, right? So he gets an incentive bonus. The next year, he has 78% pass. He gets penalized.
Yep. Or the way that happens too is if you become one of those teachers who gets your teacher passing at 95%, some school districts will do it based on increasing your passing rate.
Right.
So if you're at 95%, statistically speaking, how do you increase that? Versus if I'm a teacher with 68% passing rate, that's relatively speaking easier to pass.
Right.
That's what makes it very complicated from that perspective. Is how do you do that from a teaching perspective? And how do you do it's just hard. I don't know what the answer is. Different school districts have definitely tried different ways of doing it. And you get, teachers teaching AP students versus, kids with special needs. It's
rudimentary English.
History versus English. I teach that, affluent schools versus inner city schools, Title II schools. There's so many, parent involvement. There's an insane amount of factors outside of a teacher's control that they have zero control over, literally. So that's what makes it so freaking difficult to do that from a education perspective.
So
Uh,
Eve has chimed in. It's important to have direct, open conversations with your manager about performance and expectations. If your manager is clear and concise on expectations, then they have a clear argument if you feel you aren't getting the performance rating you expect.
So that's one of my coworkers. He used to work for a big time Fortune 500 company.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about it all the time, but they have like clear metrics. Um, so just for instance, like let's say like IT. This is I'm just kind of pulling this one of my ass.
Okay.
But like IT, part of our job is to clear tickets, right?
Right.
Statistically speaking, let's just say there's 10 people in the IT help desk. Statistically speaking, over the span of 365 days, it'll average out as far as who has like the easy tickets versus the hard tickets. So if your company's expectation is you clear 10 tickets a day, and eight of your employees are clearing 12 a day, and two of them are clearing only eight a day,
Mm-hmm.
then that becomes a pretty clear potential case of, well, the eight who are clearing 12 a day, they're doing something right. But the ones who are only clearing eight a day are not. And in theory, you also have the evidence. So those ones who are clearing eight a day can be like, well, I had these tickets that
Right.
took this long because of X, Y, Z reason. So to Eve's point, the manager could be like, you know what, you're right, we can do that. But in theory, you have that data to back it up either way. So they can be like, this is the ticket you cleared, that's your raise because you did not or did meet expectations. But the question is, do you have those rubrics in place? I mean, we know a lot of IT places that don't even have a proper help desk system. And so how do you measure metrics if you don't even have that data to analyze in the first place?
Or uh, the you may be clearing several tickets, but to your manager, the area in which you're the tickets that you're taking care of are in an area that they do not find important. So let's say that you're working IT or service desk. Let's say that you have computers, internet, telephony, and I don't know, drivers.
Yeah.
And you are just a freaking whiz when it comes to telephony. But for some reason, like, well, no one used their telephone. So why would you do 12 telephony tickets when people need, internet access? Well, of course, the telephony is, well, actually, whatever. But that then you get penalized for that because in their mind, they have a scale of importance that may not match up to the actual scale of importance of what needs to actually be taken care of.
Well, that's what I would think that part of the should be at least more cut and dry in that you almost know before the pay year even starts what your metrics are. Like, so to your point, the telephony, maybe you are working at, Alts Confusion Company where we don't put a priority on telephony. So if your important is telephony, maybe it's not the place for you. But I think the key is that metric ahead of time. It's not a surprise when you get to the end of the quarter and you're looking at your raise, and also it's like, oh wait, you didn't tell me that telephony is only weighted at 75% of my total metric until now. Hopefully that's something you knew ahead of time so that either you can, look for a new employer or adjust your kind of ticket allocations. But
Let's
that
just say
element,
I looked for a new employer.
come on, telephony master.
Well, I didn't have anything with telephony. I just named. I work at a university, so I was just trying to think of things that a university help desk would have to deal with. But, anyways, so here's let me loop back real quick. The main focus of what Activision Blizzard's employees are looking for, and I agree with. Basically, we've already touched on most of it, but I just want to go back over real quick. Is that they're asking management to work with them to develop new recruiting practices, publish employee pay rates, and undertake third-party audits to improve staff diversity and prevent harassment. That one should be common sense, that last one, but at the same time, I'm almost 100% sure that there are so many companies that are afraid to air their dirty laundry and they don't want a third party in there mucking around with stuff because maybe there is something that they thought they would be able to get away with that when you have someone from outside looking through stuff, that practice will have to go away.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of crazy to me that that had to be part of almost like their three pillars. That hey, not only diversity, but also harassment.
Hmm.
Like harassment is so endemic of their culture
Hmm.
that you need a third party auditor to come in there to kind of clean up that mess. It's obviously higher up. And I think you brought up a good point earlier of, if I'm the CEO,
Hmm.
what is HR going to do? I mean, it's like,
Right.
uh, I signed your paycheck. Yeah, good luck, bringing a complaint against me. Um, and that's, I mean, how many I mean, you see in the news all the time where, the theory is whistleblowers are supposed to be, kind of protected in that they can't be retaliated against. Um, but I think we've seen time and time again where that's not true,
Right.
where, through whatever methods or means, the employers absolutely can and do retaliate against it. And, if you're a small Joe, what do you do against the EA? Like, are you going to sue them in their, legion of lawyers?
Right.
Um,
That's the other thing.
yeah,
It's just like it's the. I mean, I'm not saying that it's the exact same, but a great way, as Delius was putting it, is it's you're if you're going after a big bad company, uh, what happens a lot with a big bad company, especially when it comes to like smaller companies trying to step up to the plate against a big bad company, all they got to do is just keep throwing money at you until you can't pay for it. And then you have to either settle or they win. And so I would not be surprised if they try to take that approach. Or, of course, I'm sure that there's billions of smear campaigns to try to, water down someone's complaints about a specific person, especially a high-ranking person. Or, of course, you could do the shell game, which is, well, he's no longer the CEO of the company. He's now chief
oh, yeah.
technology officer of our Australian branch.
And I mean, unfortunately, what do you do? Like, let's just take, like, I work at a, school about 120 employees.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, and I'll preface this, none of this is actually going on. This is purely hypothetical.
Okay.
But let's just say there was a teacher who was harassing me, right? Like
Right.
every day is coming in. And let's just say I went to my boss.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to his boss. I'm like, hey, this situation is happening. This Charlie dude, you just give me a hard time. If they don't do anything about it and they're just like, well, good luck, deal with it. Like, honestly, like, what could I do? I mean, and that's kind of the case to your point. That's a lot of small companies. Like, you don't really have an alternative if your CEO basically doesn't care. Like, what do you really do as an employee? There's really nothing you can do. I mean, I guess in theory you could go to, like, your state. Who's the guy who's in charge of, like, employee relations? I know there's like a state.
It's labor.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
in theory, I guess there's people you go to, but really for the most part, like, I mean, unfortunately, either you suck it up, or you go find a job elsewhere, which sucks. But I'm not really sure what the alternative is. I mean, thankfully, I myself work at a place where that's not an issue, and I know I can go to my bosses and be like, "This is screwed up," and it'll get dealt with. But reality is, most or a lot of people don't work in situations like
Right.
that, or they work in cultures or work environments where it's endemic. I mean, that's a big thing with, one thing we really try to push is like STEM for girls, because STEM and engineering fields become boy zones. And so that's one of the big issues in those fields. If you're like one of the lone females in like engineering and all the guys are of the same mindset and you complain about them basically being, male jackwagons, but nobody else sees anything wrong with it, then that's really hard to change that culture.
And for those kids out there who are wondering, I'm pretty sure you know, but STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Indeed.
Eve says you can always file an EEOC complaint in your state.
What is EEOC complaint? I have no idea what that is.
I am going to Google it.
I'm not sure. Charlie
EEOC.
is going to the Googleplex.
Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Now, does that apply to private employers too? So, like, I work for instance, in my case, I technically work for a religious institution. So, in my case, can I, like, is basically my institution exempt from EEOC complaints?
I would believe
Uh,
it'd be any. I would believe it's any install. Yes, all employees. That's what I was going to say. I would have been under the impression that any employer, no matter if it's in the private or public sector, uh, would have to fall underneath these guidelines. Now, Zelius did mention something about if you're a smaller developer and how it gets harder. And there was actually a story that came out. There is a developer out there called Fulbright, and they made this phenomenal game called Gone Home. I loved the crap out of this game when I played it, but it turns out one of the co-founders, Steve Gaynor, basically, okay, so there's a problem with this gentleman, and the problem is that the work environment was controlling, a place in which staffers felt undermined and demeaned by Gaynor. Because of Gaynor's status as the co-founder of a beloved indie darling, some former employees said they were worried about being blacklisted in the industry, though some ended up leaving the industry entirely anyways. Former employees said that they did not experience, they did not experience or witness sexual harassment or explicit sexism. Instead, they said the studio's toxic culture hid behind the veneer of inclusivity as women were allegedly repeatedly broken down by microaggressions. So that's another card that the higher uppers can do. If you don't want to play ball, we'll blackball you, which of course, or blacklist you, which means that you're put on a list of do not touch. This person is toxic.
Mm-hmm. So that's your question. So with companies like this,
mm-hmm.
or we're talking about Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even talking about blacklisting them from yourselves or boycotting, but like, do games from them take on a different meaning to you? And maybe like a good example is like, let's just say you still play World of Warcraft, right? It's a Blizzard game.
Yep.
Would you feel differently if you're a World of Warcraft player, knowing what went on with Blizzard? And would you be like less inclined, or do you think that affects your kind of view of playing their video games? Maybe World of Warcraft's not a great example because it's the monthly pay scale, so it is directly.
But still, the head of World of Warcraft got nailed.
So maybe maybe Overwatch is actually better because Overwatch, you've already paid. Like I've already paid my $60 for Overwatch, right? Mm-hmm. So really, Blizzard's not getting money from me. So in a game like that, where you've already paid for it, do you feel any differently playing a game like that? And like, man, I'm not sure I want to play this game as much because it's not even that I'm monetarily supporting them. It's that like I'm philosophically supporting them now. Or do you kind of be like, you know what? It's a game. I've already played it. I don't think either one's right or wrong. I'm just kind of curious.
Right. No, I mean, this is basically the same type of question where as once all the dirt about Harvey Weinstein came out or all the dirt about Kevin Spacey came out, do you still watch Weinstein movies or Kevin Spacey movies? And my answer is, I don't know. I mean, I
think in the case of Kevin Spacey, I think that's probably on the deep end in that you're associated with the face. You know what I mean? It's like, I think in that case, I would say that's probably like on the far scale of like easy to feel squirmy about, and that you see Kevin Spacey and you get that visceral, like visual reaction.
Right.
Harvey Weinstein, I would think is like somewhere in the middle because like once you started that movie, you don't see him.
Right. It's only in you see his logo at the beginning.
Versus Overwatch is like at the far end because once you're in, like you don't even, I mean, you probably actually do see the Blizzard logo somewhere. But like once you started, it's like Blizzard's not even a part of it. So it's almost like separations of like our conscious thinking about the actions of these companies or people.
Right. You're right. It's out of sight, out of mind after a certain point. A quick side note about Overwatch. Overwatch just lost 10 T-Mobile as a sponsor because of all of this craziness.
Damn.
Um,
Wasn't that one of their huge sponsors too?
yeah, but here's the deal: you want change, you want companies to start paying attention. You got to hit them in the wallet. As much as I would love to say that people, with all this crap, they should boycott or limit time length ban all of Blizzard stuff. But the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of people who are exactly like the individuals who are in trouble, not in trouble, who are guilty, and so they don't give a shit. You got those people who are like, well, they already got my money, so I'll keep playing the game. But I have heard that that because of all of this action, there has, especially on the Blizzard side of the house, that all the teams, the developers, QA, artists, all that stuff, their release schedules all kinds of jacked because they are under so much stress they're not getting anything done. Like in a perfect world, there needs to be a high enough monetary penalty for this kind of crap, and not just a slap on the wrist, and not just having a promissory note of "we'll change."
Mm-hmm. Well, you want to like Blizzard where they are. It's World of Warcraft. I mean that's really the only thing that Blizzard still is keeping it afloat. To be honest, I mean, people are over Overwatch. Diablo 2 is Diablo 2 again, the same game. Diablo 4, I don't know if it's still on a cell phone or what the hell the deal is.
I'm not.
It's really World of Warcraft.
Yep.
I mean, if people, if there's going to be a stand against Blizzard and really hit them where it hurts, and that's where it is. That's what makes Blizzard still function.
I would, actually, I'll look this up after the show, but I'd be very interested to see, since all this stuff started happening in July, what the population of active WoW players is, if it has seen any type of noticeable decline.
Well, the one thing I've seen is streamers.
Mm-hmm.
Is major streamers. I mean, that's one of the major metrics nowadays, which is kind of crazy to say about popular the game, is the number of streamers.
Yep.
And that's where I have seen. I think you think about if you're a streamer, part of your following fan base is kind of the cultural identity. And I don't think streamers, they're not expected to take stands on things. Like, you're out there for the politics and et cetera, et cetera. But I think a lot of the streamers, that's a pretty straightforward one. And if they already have a following, they could probably jump. There's been a lot of streamers you've seen over the years where I think we've seen they can go from game to game successfully and still keep that following. People seem to not really follow streamers for the games. It's because they're interesting personalities that for whatever reason their following finds endearing.
Right.
So I think that's in the case of like a game like World of Warcraft. And everything I've read is WoW's become stale anyways because Blizzard's not really releasing anything. So
I wonder why.
To hit them.
Maybe they're spending all their money on something else.
Touche.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I do want to pump the brakes here real quick because, as you know, every single week we want to thank all the amazing friends of the show, those beautiful individuals who helped us out. So without further ado, let's go down the list here. And the first one, of course, is the Indie Cluster. The Indie Cluster is an organization of independent game developers that want to gain exposure by being involved in the community. They collectively journey to popular conferences as a traveling booth to help gain attention for their games. They make partnerships in local communities to bring games to the mainstream mindset. They highlight local, unusual, and rare concepts to challenge the paradigm of the common. They also host events to teach kids and minority groups about game development to hopefully one day enter the industry themselves. If you'd like more information, go to indiecluster.com. That's INDIECLUSTER.com. No, Sam, I'm not saying that. Sam's making inappropriate words here. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't know. The next one, of course, is the new kid on the block, and that, of course, is, ladies and gentlemen, we also want to do a quick shout out for Noodle Boy Media. Founded in 2015 by Andrew Tran, Noodle Boy Media, previously Whacked Kid 47 Media, is your choice for professional photo shoots and panel recordings at conventions. They pride themselves in providing a high level of professionalism, top-notch experiences, and quality services. If you want more information and to view their full list of services, check out facebook.com/noodleboymedia. And of course, we gotta talk about the one, the only, the legendary Hero Chiropractic. Hero Chiropractic is a unique healthcare practice set up by Ryan Moore. The company's focus to elevate a patient's experience of freedom, creative expression, and joy. They believe that everyone can be a hero and has incredible heroic potential inside themselves waiting to be unleashed. Hero Chiropractic focuses on mobile chiropractic care in the greater Atlanta area. They are committed to healing clients by creating a plan of action uniquely suited for each person. They make that plan of action as convenient and affordable as possible, and most importantly, suited to your individual needs. If you want more information, go to herochiropractic.com. And since we did our friends of the show, I do want to do a couple of, public service announcements so Zelius doesn't get confused by me saying PSA again.
I'm always confused.
I know. But ladies and gentlemen, I do want to turn your attention to the fact that Ultra Confusion is proud to say that we have been fundraising for Extra Life for 10 years straight. Extra Life is gamers doing what they do best, gaming, to help sick and injured children at their chosen Children's Miracle Network hospital. The money that we raise through Extra Life will go directly to our chosen hospital, which of course is Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, as unrestricted funds. This means that the hospital decides where and how to spend the money to ensure the dollars we raise make the biggest impacts in the lives of the kids they treat. So if you have the capacity to donate, please go to extra-life.org and search for Altered Confusion. And of course, if you do not have the capacity, financial capacity to donate, but you do want to be part of Extra Life, go to extra-life.org and you can find out all the information about maybe setting up your own goal or perhaps joining a team. And I do want to stress this: it doesn't have to be video gaming. There is a ton of people out there who do board gaming and pencil to paper RPGing. Sam Grizzle, Belly Brew, closed on Mondays, regardless if it's your only free day in Atlanta. Like some of these, I'm going to be totally honest with you. Some of the restaurants and some of these like businesses have the weirdest ass days that they take off. I can't remember. There's some place that's like super popular in Atlanta. I think it's a bar, and they will not ever open on a Tuesday. Doesn't matter what the hell is happening in the world, it's closed on a Tuesday. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I do also, you just previously saw the Friends of the Show, and if you're interested in becoming a Friends of the Show, or helping out Ultra Confusion in another way, ladies and gentlemen, Ultra Confusion has a Patreon. Ultra Confusion survives on the love and support of fans like you, and so we have a Patreon page. Patreon allows you, the fans, supporters, lovers, haters, aliens, monsters, vampires, werewolves, celestial beings, and whatever else you are out there, all inclusive, to become active participants in the work we love through a monthly membership. This will give you access to exclusive content, community, and insight into our creative process. In exchange, we gain a bit more freedom to do our best work and the stability we need to build an even stronger creative career. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are two tiers. As I stated, it is a monthly donation. There's a $1 tier, which would be $12 a year. That tier will allow you to have early access to all the playthroughs and will allow you to take part in polls and be privy to first announcements before the public gets to know. The next tier is the $5 tier, which was $60 a year. And that is the tier that you need to be to have your name or organization added to our thank you section for all Thursday night hangouts. Of course, it'll give you the early access to the playthroughs and the ability to partake in polls. If you're interested, go to patreon.com/ultraconfusion. That's patreon.com/ultraconfusion. Yes, my thanks gets longer and longer every single time. I think I just need to make a list of it so I could get it straight, because I have to ramble off. I forgot ghost inspectors and ghouls and zombies, werecats. But anyways, please be a patron for Ultra Confusion. The money that we raise helps us to go to conventions, to upkeep our equipment, to allow us to do what we're doing. For those out there who are patrons, you will notice that I just gave you access to a brand new playthrough for the game The Beast Inside, which I'm just going to warn you, I did yell and scream in fright quite a few times. But everyone probably noticed the fact that there was another playthrough that was also published, but this one was for the public, not just for patrons. And that was a game called Luna the Shadow Dust. Yeah. Which is also another great game. I'm trying, like I said, I've been trying to ramp everything up. And so here's for me trying to ramp things up. Now, I'm going to do this last part just for Sam, because I know Sam loves this, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, if you cannot do a financial type of support for Ultra Confusion, but you want to give something to Ultra Confusion to show your love and support, perhaps you have a unique T-shirt, coffee mug, Funko Pop, whatever, all you need to do is mail it to 1551 Dunwoody, that's DUNWOODY, Village Parkway, number, this is super duper important, number 88276. If you do not include that, that means that you're not sending it to our P.O. Box, you're sending it to the post office, and it will be returned to you. The city, once again, is Dunwoody, DUNWOODY, Georgia. Zip code is 30338. You're welcome, Sam. Now, for a little bit of different news, and Zelius is going to be absolutely 100% shocked by this news. Late breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. I want to tell you that Amazon has delayed its MMO New World again.
So the real question is it going to be a situation like Cyberpunk 2077 where it's indefinitely going to be broken and no amount of time fixes it? Or are they going the old school, pre-crazy Blizzard route where they delay the game because they actually want to come out with a finished, decent, good product? I hope it's the later, because I did beta test
New World.
It was actually an alpha test. New World a couple of months ago, and I really thought it was a cool game.
Mm-hmm.
From the gathering to the crafting to the combat, I think it's a quality game that has a lot of potential to have. Really, I think one of the challenges with the MMOs is not just grabbing people for that initial, spike in 10 million players. I'm just throwing out a number. It's not going to actually have 10 million players, but actually keeping a decent percentage of those 10 million players for time, not just that initial week. I think I do see a lot of like the influx of like the Korean MMOs is they're big and flashy and cool combat, but they become super repetitive and you're doing the same thing, pressing the same 4 keys for 60 levels. It's like, okay, that's boring. And I think that's something that New World can actually get around between the different things and different ways you can do the combat and the gathering and the crafting. There's just a lot of interesting things to do in the game that feel like that kind of fully fledged MMO.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope they do that. I think there's always that fear though of the um, cash shop creep, and that when I played New World, it also is very player. The players put a lot of resources of time into the game to feel like they accomplished something. And that when you're doing your gathering and your crafting, you do get that sense of accomplishment from like you actually did something useful in the game, which I think is cool. It's very much the tried and true carrot approach of MMOs. But I think a lot of those players, if they put in those hours, if you get those new players who come in and everybody's over the cash shop, we get it. There's going to be a cash shop in the game. Every MMO has it. Hell, every single player game even has cash shops nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But is that cash shop just meant for cool bling and I can look snazzy? Or is it going to be the cash shop that gets me my instant sort of plus 1,000 power that I spend hundreds of hours getting, and this Joe Schmo got over here in 5 minutes? I think that's always the worry with an MMO, which is truly online, where you have online PvE and PvP. How does that creep into the game? Um, is always a worry. And I know part of New World is also immersion. And I know there's an uproar where there's a recently released pet. It's a rainbow lion. And New World, it's very much it sounds like it is. It's kind of set in the era of like, you think about like America, New World, beginning of the muskets.
Mm-hmm.
You could still use the bow and arrow. It very much has that feel of the frontier. In the way the lands are all built, it feels that way. And also, it's much immersive game in that way. And all of a sudden, you like throw in a very bright flying rainbow lion from the cash shop,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like what? So I think that's the fear of the game is that cash grab that they're going to obviously try to do because they want to make money off of it, going to also break what people feel like is that immersion of the game, which I think is a large draw of it, honestly. So I mean,
Well,
I'm still interested in it. At this point, I'm going to wait to see what the previews look like when it comes out.
mm-hmm.
If the reviews are like it still was kind of that alpha beta that I played, then I'll get it. But if it's like everything has changed and it's terrible now, then I'm like, awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know that you love to hear the dulcet tones of Zelius's voice. So I'm going to let Zelius do the next one again, and I'm going to just state it, and then Zelius is going to give you all his amazing opinions on it. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been announced DragonCon 2021 won't allow non-attendees to watch the annual parade.
All I can ask is how.
I know.
I mean,
It's on the street. It's on the roads.
Like, it's not just on the road. It's like, it's not just like a one block parade that, you can like, okay, we can like, get off this one block. It's like across like 6 city blocks of downtown Atlanta. And it's like snaking. It's not like just one single, I don't know how you actually block. I mean, I think about the logistics and the manpower
Yeah.
that you would need because even if like they put like the little stanchion gates up, people are just gonna hop it unless you have like 8,000 volunteer/police people there to like prevent it. And the number of people that it takes to prevent it defeats the entire purpose. Um, I, I,
Let's see here.
it,
I just pulled up a map of this is the okay. So this is the 2019 map here. It starts. Let's see if I can pull it up here. It starts on Linden Avenue. That's 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. Goes over the connector. Ivan Allen. That's another. What's that? We're on 6 blocks now. 7 blocks, 8 blocks, 9 blocks, 10 blocks, 11, 12, 13 when you end up in front of the Marriott in Hyatt. There's
And
no way. There's no way.
and I still don't remember seeing anything about like a actual kind of like COVID policy as far as like vaccinations and stuff like that. Like I know they had like Lollapalooza last week, I think, and I remember like to get into that, you either A had to be vaccinated or B have a negative COVID vaccine test within like the last 3 days.
Hmm.
Um, which okay, they did something. So that's really kind of interested to see like what oh wait, they actually
Well, as Zelius is looking over this stuff, Zelius kind of hinted at there's other conventions and concerts and whatever's expositions that have come out with their COVID policy. One of them, of course, the one that shares the exact same weekend as DragonCon. That, of course, is PAX West, which some may know as PAX Prime. Apparently, the nickname they're going with is PAX Vax, and that is prior to entry. It will now be required. You will now have to have proof of a completed COVID-19 vaccination series or a negative COVID-19 PCR or antigen test, each to be verified with a valid government issued ID.
So apparently for Dragon Con, they're now requiring to wear face masks inside the convention centers. Which
They don't have a choice.
I know, but like
The mayor stomped put her foot down and said anything inside the city limits, you got to wear a mask.
uh, so the interesting one to me, which might actually change my participation level, to be honest,
Uh-huh.
is they're going to reduce capacity from prior years, which on one hand makes total sense. I get
Yep.
it. Like you can't have as many people inside.
Right.
But at the same time, like the lines to get into things like America's Mart and all of the panels have got longer and longer every year with like literally you can't breathe capacity to start with. So to
So
look
how
at
much of a reduction are they going to do?
I know. Well, they did say like so. They didn't say for America's Mart, but they did say for like the Walk of Fame is 2/3 capacity of normal capacity, which okay.
They probably
But
need to
like,
do a third instead of 2/3.
so is that gonna like make the lines to get into this place like insanely long versus just long? So that's kind of the other part of it too. And if you think about it, like when you're in line for like these panels and other stuff, like you're, shoulder to shoulder. There ain't no social distancing.
Yep.
And like, are they going to request you social distance in line and be 6 feet apart? Which now it's going to make these lines like wrap around the Marriott like 18 times instead of once. Uh, that's. I did see that they're not doing single day Saturday passes, so that's something.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at. I'm trying to browse the site as fast as I can on the side here.
Well, they
Uh,
have just the general update one. Um, So it looks like everything is being reduced to 2/3 room capacity, not just the um, Walk of Fame. So like every
I just don't
panel
know
will be.
how are you gonna police that? Are you just gonna like you're gonna have someone that counts the number of people in the line and
They
then
already do that, yeah. So any panel they had like in previous years, they already had the person like I mean, there's a person, there was the volunteer. I remember in line, and they would click as they went through line to count the number of people, and what they would do is when you get relatively towards like let's just say it's at 1,000 people, when they started getting to around that 900th person, they would start to warn you. And I remember they like, hey, this might be the cutoff. You can try to get in, but we don't know. And once they got past that, like there's a certain point where they basically just kick you out of the line because like you're not getting in. So my guess is it'll be the same type of thing with the 2/3 thing. Just instead of stopping at 1,000, they just know it's 700, and that's past 700. They're just gonna not even let you in line because there's no point.
you're gonna have so many freaking campers.
I mean, you already did. I mean, to your point, you already did. Um, Yeah, it's
The thing is, okay, so you're gonna be able to cap the line, which is still gonna be long as shit for some of these panels, but then you're gonna have like this, you know, uh, group of individuals who are gonna be huddled together in mass off the side, knowing that as soon as that panel goes in, they got to get in line for the next one.
yep.
So you're gonna have this like, you know, a bunch of people probably breaking protocol because you need to leave, like an aisle or some way for people to keep going, traffic.
Well, part of it too was always not just the panels, but like just the milling around and the hanging out the Marriott and the different hotels, not even in the actual panels, but just like where they had the concerts, because they were a lot of the concerts, they're not actually like in a room, they're
Yep.
just like in the foyer of
Yep.
the hotels. Or a lot of like the really good cosplay stuff is up in the atrium of the Marriott, and they never did attendance for those. It was just come on in.
Mm-hmm.
So like, are they going to have basically like queues to get into those now too? Because I mean, I think like when we were at the Marriott, like you were literally like breathing in the person's neck in front of you
Yep.
before. And if they're going to try to have any kind of social distancing, like you're talking much less than 2/3 capacity for that.
Oh yeah.
And to your point, it's also the issue isn't just like I'm thinking of specifically the Marriott atrium. You have the panel rooms inside the Marriott there
Mm-hmm.
that go through the atrium for your lines,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which makes things even more chaotic.
But I had a fan table for 2 Dragon Cons, and I was in. I can't remember which one I was in. I was in one of the Marriotts, I think, and I was kind of shoved into the back. But there was constantly lines that kind of blocked off most of that fan section because people were trying to get into those panels. Then you also deal with individuals that are interacting with the fan tables or your organization tables or whatever. So yeah, I'll be very interested to see.
I will say, like, for the most, I mean, obviously there's always exceptions.
Yeah.
My experience, at least, Dragon Con was pretty good about policing the lines as far as those like long lines. And I think part of it was personal. Like, if you were already in line, because it's like the Matt Smith panels, for instance, right? Like, you were usually there for like a good half hour to hour. You didn't
Yep.
want that jackass also getting in front of you going to line.
Yep.
Right. So, like, there was also a little bit of like, no, dude, I've been standing in line for an hour. You can do the same thing. So I think there's always been that bit of policing already. Um, I don't know. It's a logistical nightmare. Is what it's going to be.
I don't think you could get away with this, but I know in previous years what PAX did was they had for what like any of the really big panels that were going to be in the humongous rooms, they would actually have another room that would start the line for not the upcoming panel but the one after that.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So you didn't have like this mad rush of people trying to get first in line, but you're still shoving a bunch of people into a room for an hour.
You could do that for Dragon because if you think about Dragon Con, like all of the room. I mean, there's probably other rooms I don't know about, obviously, but there's like you think about like the ballrooms, the lines in the past would snake through the foyers and basically go out the back entrance.
Yep.
Outside.
Yep.
So I'm not really sure. I don't think there's really other places to queue without defeating the entire purpose of socially distancing in the first. I think that's the key.
Yep.
Is you could find space inside to queue them to avoid it, but then you're just going to actually make things worse COVID-wise potentially.
Agreed.
And most of the lines already did queue to start outside. So like I don't know where you would queue again outside with how it was in the past.
Parking
that
lot
would happen sometimes with some of the big panels. I remember like they would start queuing before the next one because you wanted to be there.
The Marriott Marquis parking deck. Just start there and just have them walk up the stairs.
No parking at the parking deck this year. It is now the queuing zone.
Exactly.
You'll now be walking a mile to your panels.
Weren't you already doing it if you were having a bounce between buildings?
Well, yes, you're right. Like once you had to like wrap around the building 4 times, and actually it wasn't like the distance like as the crow flies.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you're walking like around the building to get back through the queue. That's what
Yep.
took you forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
I felt like I had one more topic I wanted to bring up, but I'm now blanking here. There was a question that was asked of me today, and knowing that we had to talk about the Blizzard Activision stuff, I knew I was not going to be able to give you the full love and support of this question. So I'll hold off till next week, so you can look forward to. The question was asked. You see all these online games, a lot of this like competitive, games where it's first-person shooters, of course, Valorant, Paladins, Smite, League of Legends, all these other games that I'm now like blanking out on. Why do we not see more of the like the practice mode where you have the ability to either go solo or have like a team of players go against just CPUs? Why do they have to be real players to do like a full match? Because you've got the tutorials that might give you a little smidge here, a little smidge there, but nothing like you can't get the full match experience just playing against the CPU. And that is a hard question. The short answer, ladies and gentlemen, just if you want a little bit of a spice, a little hint of what I'm going to talk about is AI is hard.
That's where I was going to go.
It's really freaking hard.
I was thinking the same thing.
I will, being a developer, though I haven't developed in a long ass time, I can tell you AI is hard. So we'll talk about that more next week. Have no fear, it will be talked about. But that being said, let's see here. Zelius,
Yo.
what are you playing?
Scarlet Nexus. I bought the full version. I was impressed.
Yeah.
It's a good game. It's I like the combat. My only thing is, I still find it. So you do basically combos to kind of get your smooth combat going.
Yep.
Between like normal, basically button mashing, and then like your special attack.
Yep.
And if you do it right, you kind of chain them. I still have visual difficulty knowing if I chain them correctly. Like, obviously you do damage, but you want to do like double damage or whatever your bonus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never 100% sure if I did it correctly. Because like other games, like you did your bonus.
Right.
Like,
No, yeah.
Actual, yellow light or something, whatever. Whereas Scarlet Nexus, I'm never like sure, like, did I do my combo right?
Did you start as Yuito or Kasane?
The dude.
Okay, you did Yuito. I went the other way. I went Kasane.
I did her in the demo.
For her, I've noticed that there's like a little bit more of a flourish of like the last piece of her attack if you're able to combo it together. But I will say this: I too continue to play Scarlet Nexus, though I think I'm pretty much at the end of it, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll be very interested to see if Zelius even takes a little bit of time in the relationship building, which you really need to, because that allows for enhancing your powers and unlocking additional special attacks that you could do with your partners.
Interesting. I mean, I just started. I mean, I'm still pretty dang early in the game.
Let me just say,
yeah,
gifts are important. And Zelius, just for you, all you got to do is you could skip all the dialogue in those relationship building things, because you're not going to get quizzed on it. Though I enjoy them because I like the story. I know Zelius is probably like that. That's bitchy. That's whiny. Okay, are we going to kill anything this time? No. Okay, cool. Ooh, I leveled up there in my friendship.
Far, I feel like I'm playing a interactive anime.
Yes.
Actually, what it reminds me a lot of, honestly, is Ruby.
Of what?
Ruby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, because you're battling the others. Like, okay, I can't remember what the name of the enemies in Ruby are right now.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's like, it kind of that same style of like fighting the others. It's like the same type of battle with the same kind of like flourish of battle. And you got your squad and you kind of have your different, some have the electrical ability and some have the water ability or whatever it is. So it reminds me a lot of Ruby in that regard. And you're the young squad trying to prove yourself,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. I mean, Ruby's great.
No, I thoroughly have enjoyed Scarlet Nexus so much that I've put in. Let's see here. I'll give you the exact number here.
It's also a gorgeous game.
Oh, absolutely. Scarlet Nexus, I've put in 30 hours. So I've definitely got my money's worth on that one.
So are you gonna play the other playthrough then as the dude?
Probably not, but it will play. I could tell that it plays up to a certain point. It's going to be a unique experience. Basically, you play as it. It's almost like a lot of these like RPGs that have multiple characters, or hell, a lot of the MMOs. They usually have like a kind of like a backstory building thing where you're really, you're beat. It's a time to flesh out your character and those around you, and then you really jump into like the super game. And so Yuito and Kasane, they've got their own platoons, and then at some point they come together. So you basically end up, combining platoons, which you have to later in the game because some of the SAS, which are the special attacks that your platoon members can do for you, you won't have available until a certain point.
So in the demo, you get those like right away.
Yeah.
Like, because I did play it first, I'm like, that did throw me off because the demo, like, I was doing like full every ability combo within the first like 10 minutes. And now playing the full version, it's like, oh, which makes sense. I get it. They want you to kind of feel the full game. But then playing the full version, I'm like, okay, they're pacing it, which makes sense because
when at one of the pieces, you of course level up your character and you become stronger, get more HP, all that stuff. But one of the things that's huge in the game is called brain points. You gain brain points when you level up, and then you could put the brain points into the brain point tree. And one of the things I aimed for was the ability to do 2 SAS abilities at once.
Sure.
Because then you can light some enemies up.
Nice.
But of course, there are certain abilities that you cannot put together at the same time. Like you can't do pyrokinesis and electrokinesis together. You can't make electrical fire. I mean, technically in real world you could.
That would be OP, man.
That would be OP. But I mean, most of the stuff. I mean, you've some of the powers. You have what's up, HAD? You have the ability to teleport, invisibility, pyrokinesis, duplicity or duplication. Damn, what was the other one? Teleportation, invisibility, fire, electric, duplicate. Oh, hyperspeed. Clairvoyance, which I think predicts where the enemy's going to be. And then there's and then you can basically, I guess, double down on your power, because when you combine the two main characters' powers, they get stronger. But anyways, highly recommend checking out Scarlet Nexus. And I'm now saying the name right, which is awesome because for the longest freaking time, every single time I try to say it, I always went with Crimson Nexus, which is not the game.
You're like me, giving it a new name.
Yes. So, I know we're basically at the end of the show, but I do want to, say that if you'd like to be a helpful part of Alter Confusion. We do have a patron. It is two different tiers. There's a $12 a year tier, or the $60 a year, or $1 a month, and $5 a month that make a huge difference for us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, Zelius and I will have to wrap up for this evening, but hopefully Google Hangout Classic will continue to work so that we don't have to monkey around with that 60-minute crap of Google Meet. But until further, let's say adieu. So, ladies and gentlemen, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious. Ladies and gentlemen, oh man, I am dead.
Yeah, I think your brain stopped. Are you having problems?
Ladies and gentlemen, for myself, Charlie, and Celius, it's been a pleasure giving everything on our heads, our mouths, and of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday for another Alter Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother. This is what happens when I don't take my Adderall before the show. My brain just went. I was like, what am I supposed to say? Words not coming out of head.
You really lost it there.
Hey, is anyone watching the Olympics? Because there's one like studio announcer who's trying to William Shatner every single time. He goes, "This guy who's going to run the race is really fast." I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Wait, the Olympics are on?
Yeah, dude, they've been on for like a couple weeks now.
What?
Yeah, man. Thank you, Sam. Sam, I did that Dunwoody one just for you. DUNWOODY. Good to tight. And if Eve is still out there, thank you for all of your input. Eve is actually, I think, way up on the food chain when it comes to HR for a company. I will not feign HD has missed all of this Olympics. Be honest with you, I've caught some of it. I got really excited. I get really excited when I get to see something like awesome. There's this there was a I don't even remember what the fuck the race was, but there was someone. Oh, it was a road race. It was the women's bicycle road race, where you have like all these heavy favorites, and then there was, which usually for the winners, they usually have like a pack of people. So like the U.S. had like 3 different riders. So what they do is they basically just form their own pod, and they kind of switch who's in front to help ease the strain of everything. But there was this one girl from Austria who had no other teammates, who blew the competition away. I love that kind of stuff. Or the girl from Bermuda who won the whole the triathlon. Or the American who won the wrestling one today. That guy was a beast. And I got really excited because I had flashbacks of, oh my God. Whenever I was in 7th and 8th grade, I'm not going to mention the year, but I did wrestle in 7th and 8th grade. And so I got really excited when the U.S. wrestler got a 2-leg takedown, basically with 16 seconds left, which gave him the victory. Absolutely. When they have compelling narratives around the events, that's what it's absolutely. But the other thing is, there are some events that I feel really, really sorry for the commentators because they got nothing to talk about. And so today was, I have the hardest time seeing this as an Olympic sport, but it is. The speed walking race was today, 50K speed walk. And the commentators literally just latched on to one of the speed walkers who was doing weird ass shit. But he kept coming back up to like the front of the pack. He didn't. I don't know if he actually won or not. But what he's doing was like crazy. you have water stations, and he would literally like stop and let like people walk by him, and then he would go again. Then he got like bumped off the course, and so he had to walk behind. He had to walk behind the water station to come back in, and there was once he got bumped again, and he had to like take a Yui to get back on the course, and then he kept coming back up. He was like in first, fell all the way back to 50th, moved up to 27th, then moved up to 7th, and I don't know where the hell he went after that because I was like, I got shit to do. I'm sorry, I cannot watch someone walk fast, speed walk for 50K, which is 50 kilometers, which is a long ass way.
That's actually really impressive. Not gonna lie.
Dude, there was a guy that was walking. I'm like, dude, that man is not gonna be able to finish the race because his ankles are gonna fall off because he like flippy floppied his feet every single time he put it down. 50 kilometers is 31 miles. Fast walking at a pace of 7 minutes and 47 seconds.
I definitely can't do that.
So 31 miles. Calculator, ladies and gentlemen. So 31 miles. Times. Let's see here. 746. So let's do 466. And divide that bad boy by 60. That can't be right. Is that right?
I don't know, man. Is it?
240. Snooky Slayer. Speedwalkers always look like they're hunting for a bathroom. Totally agree. And actually, you know what? Okay, so the commentators have a hard job, but then you look at all these. So in order to make sure that the speedwalkers follow the speedwalking rules, because they're not allowed to run, they had to walk a 2K loop over and over and over again, where you had a bunch of judges just staring at the speedwalkers as they're going by, and if you failed if you started running or you didn't meet the criteria of speed walking, they would hold a paddle in front of your face. It was yellow, basically caution, and then if you were really egregious, you'd get a red card.
Would they like hit you with the paddle?
No, but I mean, they literally like, it's not like, they're holding off to the side. I mean, they literally got like in your face with the paddle. So you knew you were the one who was in trouble. Just in case you were wondering. So. Yep. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Zelius, I need to talk to you for a second, but ladies and gentlemen, every single Thursday we do this show. If you have any questions or topics that you would like to discuss, for us to discuss with you on the show, please just drop us, hit us up through any of our social media means, because that's the topics we want to talk about. Or, of course, you can just hit us up on alteredconfusion.com or go to our Facebook page, Altered Confusion, YouTube page, Altered Confusion LLC. Twitter is Altered Confusio. Without the N. Come on, Zelius, do it one time.
What?
I said our Twitter page is Altered Confusio without the N.
Dude, where's the end?
It would break the internet. And of course, if you follow Altered Confusion on Instagram, you can hit us up there as well. But if you want to be part of the Discord channel, I think it's !Discord, if it works. If you're on Twitch. If you're not, hit us up through any of our social media means. I'll give you the Discord link. But yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I will be streaming Sunday night and Tuesday night from 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There is a very small chance I might be streaming on a not streaming night, but you never know. So make sure that you have your notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the awesomeness that I shall provide for you. Gazoo time.
Ugh.
All right, peace out, fools.